I wanted him to shoot. Not that I wanted the man dead. What I wanted was for it to end, and the gun was the only thing in that field that could end it. Somerset had just said it out loud.
If you kill him, he will win.
I heard it and understood, and I sat there wanting Mills to raise the gun anyway. That's the part of Seven I've never gotten over. Not the box, not what's in it. Those few seconds where I knew the right answer and wanted the wrong one. That feeling has a name and a 2,000-year argument behind it, and the film doesn't merely show it to you, it builds it into you frame by frame. The 5 seconds are where you feel it, not where it was made, and this video traces it back to the start. Seven shows you what John Doe did 5 times and never once lets you watch him do it. We always arrive after. The obese man already at the table, Victor strapped to that bed for a year before anyone opens the door, a coroner reading out how long it took. A murder you watch is finished. You and the film are square. A murder you arrive after stays open, and Fincher never closes one. This isn't instinct, and he has said so himself.
The ultimate success is when people don't know that they're being tricked. That is part of the signature of how the information is being meted out, how the deck is being dealt. And, I'm of the mind that, the first 10 minutes of a movie are there to teach the audience how to watch it.
I learned the rule fast. Arrive late, hear what it cost, move to the next one. Every room makes the bill bigger. Every room ends with nobody paying it. And notice where the film gives me information and where it doesn't. Victor is a dealer who walked on a charge involving a child. Gould is the lawyer who got him out of it. Both come through the case file, the rap sheet, a detective reading it out flat. No sermon, no Doe explaining himself. The other 3 get nothing like that. Whatever the obese man, the woman at the brothel, and the model are supposed to have done, they did it to themselves, and the film moves past all 3 without asking me to weigh anything. So 2 of the rooms come with a reason I can't argue with, and 3 come with nothing to argue about. The bill goes up either way. I was never judging that the debt should be paid. A judgment is a thing you arrive at, and I arrived at nothing. What I had by the time the car leaves that road was 5 open accounts and no way to settle one. The film put that in me, but putting it in me is not the same as deciding for me, and this is the part that's easy to get wrong. The want was built, and it was still mine to want. That's the whole trap. Doe didn't make the choice for me. He made sure that by the time I got to it, there was only one thing left to want. Instead, he closes them himself. Doe walks into the station with his hands up and blood on his sleeves, and there is still half an hour of film left. The arrest is the payment. Somebody catches him, the bill gets settled, I go home. But nobody caught John Doe. He came in on a day he picked, and everything after that belongs to him. The one thing that could have settled it walked through the door and settled nothing. Fincher saw that on the page before any of it existed.
And I'm holding the script, so I know most of the movie is gone, but there's still a good portion left. And the killer is walking into the police precinct to give himself up, and I thought, hold on, and I put myself in the position of the audience thinking, when that happens, if I'm sitting in a theater, I'm going to be extremely discomforted. I'm going to be sitting there saying to myself, you're not playing fair. This doesn't happen.
He read to the point where Doe gives himself up, put himself in a theater seat, and saw that the audience would feel the story had broken its own rules. That reaction was not a problem to solve. It was the reason he signed on. The last piece of the trap reaches the field on a delivery truck, a parcel Doe scheduled days earlier. What stands out on every rewatch is how little Doe does. He kneels where he is placed. He never raises his voice. As Mills unravels, Doe grows smaller and quieter, and he never gives the audience the one thing a villain is supposed to give at the end, the moment he loses something. The performance is built on that stillness. Spacey has said the hardest part of the scene was staying motionless while Pitt came apart a few feet away, and that difficulty is visible in the result. The contrast between the two men is what the scene runs on. Every pressure the film has spent 2 hours building arrives in this field, and Doe gives it nothing to push against. So it transfers. Mills is the only thing in the frame that moves. Somerset has read the notebooks and stayed a few steps behind this man for a week, and he sees where it is going after the box is opened. He says it plainly, kill him, and he wins. Aristotle had a word for this, and he spent a long time on it because it embarrassed his own system. Acrasia. You know the better thing, and you go after the worse one. Socrates had said that was impossible. Nobody knowingly chooses badly, so anyone who seems to must not have really understood. Aristotle takes the opposite side, and he starts by splitting knowing in two. Where he ends up is the part that matters here. The knowledge is there, he says, but the man is holding it the way a sleeping man holds what he knows. He can say the words back to you and still not have them when it counts. Knowing a rule and having that rule available to you in the second you need it are two different states, and the second one can just be missing. A rule, correct and on time with no grip on me at all. The warning is a sentence. The wanting was built room by room. A sentence doesn't get to compete with that. Here's the obvious objection. Mills fires because his wife is in that box. That's motive. It's sufficient, and it has nothing to do with me. And it's true. I'm not going to argue that Mills had some other reason. What I can't explain that way is my own 5 seconds. Nobody put my wife in a box. I was in a seat, and I still wanted the gun to come up, which means whatever was working on me came from somewhere else, and it had 2 hours to get there. Somerset stands in the same field, and he is not calm either. He walked the same 5 rooms, read the notebooks no one else could stomach, and he alone knows Tracy is pregnant. A sentence cannot reach Mills, but the knowledge is still working in Somerset, and it is not working in Mills. Aristotle has a name for that side too in the same chapter, enkrateia, the man who wants it and does not. He is the version of me that got left in the seat. There was a version where none of this happens. Pitt signed on with 2 conditions written into his contract. The head stays in the box, and Mills has to shoot. He does not do the right thing. He acts out of passion.
Well, once I got, first and foremost, I put that ending, when I signed on to do the film, I said that ending has to be, I got in my contract that ending had to stay. Because I'd had experience on something before where something that was controversial got cut out, and to me it was why we go to movies. And so it was in my contract. And so sure enough, when the movie came out, there was this push to it would be much more, he'd be much more likable if the dogs' heads were in the box. And I just went, nope.
He needed both conditions because the studio wanted both gone. The pitch was that Mills would come off more heroic if he let Doe live, and that the head was too much regardless. Put a dog's head in the box instead. That version is not a small edit. If it is the dog, there is nothing in that field worth destroying a life over. So Mills lowers the gun and Doe loses. Everyone goes home, including me. The soft version takes the wanting out of my hands. No one has to notice what they were rooting for because there is nothing to root for. The head in the box sets the price where I cannot pay it. Doe needs me to want it at full cost and to know the cost. And the film never shows me the head either. Doe says it. Except this time, what I'm not shown is what makes the gun feel like the only way out. Then he says the second thing. She was pregnant. Doe didn't know it when he did it. He only learned it after, and he is telling Mills now because it's worth more here. That's the last piece he puts on the table, and it isn't for Mills. Mills was already going to fire. He fires. The pressure stops. This is the part I do not like saying plainly. It works. The film ends where it told me it would end. Then it shows me what stopping cost. A woman is dead. A man has lost everything. And the quiet I had been waiting for arrives. Aristotle's word for what tragedy does to you is catharsis. You watch, something discharges, you walk out lighter. 7 discharges it. Then it makes sure I know what I was hoping for while it happened. Go back to what the film let me see. 5 rooms, and I arrived after everyone. Tracy, told, never shown. There is exactly 1 killing in this film I'm allowed to watch happen. It's the one that made it stop. That's the design. For 2 hours, the film kept every act out of frame and let the debt grow. The one act it puts on screen is the one that's already mine. You're not playing fair. That is the wrong complaint. The film played it straight. It told me the rule out loud, through Somerset, in time. I wanted the other thing anyway. I still do. I have watched this film knowing every word of what I just said, and I still reach that field and want it to end the only way it can. Thank you for watching.